My sweet daughter, what have ye acquired through thy travels this past year? Uh, like, what kind of diseases are up my cooch now?
That's horrible. That's horrible.
Well, look, if we're gonna say she's a hoe, I mean, yes, it's mean, but if we're gonna say it, let's see. I smiled at the king. You must see some of the new cloth I picked up in the city of Skyle. Skyle?
I don't know.
The great city of light. I smiled as the king's eyes grew big. Jenna, Jenna, my daughter, which is why I'm making you live in a wagon, you must show me what you've acquired.
Spread 'em right here.
You know, granted, if you want to say like she's like family and that he's even calling her daughter, you could say maybe because Zelda is going to inherit the throne that she's, more that Jenna's more free to do what she wants. But if that's the case, why don't you just make Jenna an official part of the royal family?
Yeah, it seems like it's just a rather arbitrary distinction anyway, and it doesn't serve any purpose.
I mean,
You
that
could,
would be interesting. Somebody, a part of the royal family, who's just like, well, I'm not in line to inherit anything, so
yeah,
my dad's just like, well, as long as you stay safe, do what you like.
yeah. I mean, it would be actually pretty interesting of someone of like the royal family to go, well, maybe I want to travel the land as a traveling merchant, and no one will really know who I am. You know, that would actually be a more interesting character that would have more depth from the get-go or from the gecko, as this said. But I mean, that would be fundamentally a more interesting and dynamic character from the start, just from the very concept, because it would give her more of a motivation and meaning into what she's doing, rather than making us wonder exactly why, if someone is that close to the royals, they're making her sit out in a wagon and cook her own dinner.
Unless she
Occasionally throw her
herself
a bone,
wanted,
but
yeah, unless she wanted to do that for some reason. Okay, I
yeah.
guess.
It kind of speaks poorly of their hospitality, and in
Yeah.
the old world, hospitality was quite important.
Uh, then he took my hand and began to lead me out of the garden. With one last look back at Link, I smiled at him. See you tonight, I said before I left.
I knew I was going to try some things out on the king that I would definitely try on Link afterwards.
After spending some time with the king. Uh-huh. He bought some of my new cloth. Uh-huh. Then
Brought it where?
he brought it. Then let me settle in for the night. In my wagon.
In my wagon.
Despite dressing me as his daughter and treating me as such, and then spending some quality time with me. Then he sets me out into my wagon.
That's so profoundly sad. Um, I returned to the inside of my wagon and prepared a hot bath. How the hell did you do that in a wagon?
Maybe
How?
she's got a pot in the back. Maybe it's like those like oh, I forget. Like back in the old west where the like have a bunch of wagons even
Well, yeah,
though
you could have a covered wagon, and this is probably one of those traveling wagons. But how in the hell? Just
she must have had a tub back there and I guess got a bunch of boiling water and just put it in her tub and then jumped in it.
but like you would have to heat a tremendous amount of water to have enough to bathe in,
Yeah.
and there's no way you could heat all of that at the same time unless you had like a barrel that you had water and water, wood and fire under, rather. I mean, some people still do that in Japan. It's
Yeah.
sort of like a barrel, but still, I mean, how is she doing this?
Magic.
I guess. I went to the mirror. I
Because
went
you
to
have a mirror in your wagon.
have a mirror in your wagon, and brush my hair while I waited for the water to heat up.
I mean, granted, I guess you would have to have some kind of small travel kit
I
if you're
guess.
traveling all the time and probably don't really have a place to stay, but
But like this is so problematic for a number of ways.
yeah.
I mean, where does she get the water from? What is she putting
Well,
it in?
she
What
is
is
in
this from?
town, but
She is in town, but she's parked at the stables. I
yeah.
mean, we don't know if there's pump water there or if she's just grabbing it from a fountain or what. Where is she getting the water from?
And
Because I mean, if
after 5 minutes, her water was ready.
yeah,
I'm
or
sorry,
in
it's
the
a medieval town. I don't think that's how that works.
yeah. Well, it does say after about 5 minuets the water is ready, so maybe they were lengthy minuets.
Mm. I guess that translates to about an hour and minutes. So
Um, as I slipped down into the warm water, it felt good against my sore muscles.
why are they sore?
I
Did
don't
you
know.
do fighting or something? Did somebody hit you?
Maybe she had a good time with the king, and that's
I
why.
guess.
I began rather, to relax and slowly let my thoughts drift. Link was the only thing on my mind. He is so handsome, I
So
thought.
totally.
Oh my God, I know, right? I know.
That king, man, that king. He just tries so hard for an old geezer.
Link can like polish my sword anytime. I thought to myself.
On the other that, that was great. That was a fantastic use of her time.
That is the heroic man who became the legendary hero of time and saved Hyrule from a life of darkness. A life of darkness? Though something tugged at the back of my mind. I remembered that I had wanted to marry one day. Would
How
you
do
just
you
forget
forget?
that? Like, I remembered that it was really important I felt to marry one day. Like, what is this? This isn't like forgetting that you like clam chowder and you only go to the seaside once every 2 years. This is kind of different. Anyway, dum dum dum. And Link would be a good choice since he was my age, strong, smart, and handsome, and would help make strong, beautiful children. You are a disgusting woman. I am
Also,
sorry, that is so creepy.
also,
Also, you don't know any of this. You don't know him. You've met him for like 5 minutes at most.
maybe he doesn't want to get married and have
Maybe
kids.
he's gay. I mean, come on. Like you're
He was
already
polishing his sword in the garden.
I
Like,
know.
really.
And you're already assessing his breeding stock capability. I mean, that's kind of distressing. This is kind of worrying.
I mean, granted, if I was dating somebody, I might occasionally wonder what if we had kids, what they would be like and look like. But I'm not marrying him to have good, strong, healthy kids. I'm marrying him because I love him.
Yeah, and I mean, you're not going to assess someone for their breeding capabilities within 5 minutes of meeting them. Like,
Unless I'm just looking to fuck somebody, but then I wouldn't be thinking of kids. I'd be looking for a fuck. So,
yeah, and I mean, if you are just thinking about, crapping out some kids with someone, that's kind of disturbing. I mean, like it's kind of predatory, really. You're out looking for someone to like.
unless you can't get married for some reason, but you really want kids, and so you're just taking the first guy you find or something. I mean, that could be an interesting, really weird and kind of creepy story, but that's not what this person is doing.
Yeah, I think this was supposed to be much more, I don't know, touching than it came out as being, but it comes off as very creepy. I'm so sorry. I would
This
never.
author isn't.
It's like it's like on I don't know if you've seen it, but there was this one episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000. I think it was my favorite. I believe it was Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, which is one of my favorite films. My favorite holiday film, bar none. But at one point, I think it was Joel, the host, says, "This whole Christmas has been one ugly," and then it just cuts. But anyway, yes, indeed, Link would make a good husband. Ugh,
For knowing him all of 2 seconds, but
I know, this woman is creepy. This is really giving me shivers. Then I took the soap and washed up. After
okay.
I washed, huh?
I said, okay, you got clean.
After I, soap? Well, I guess there could be soap. After I washed, I got out of the tub
I would
and
think
dried off.
so.
I, I went to the wardrobe closet.
How do you have that in a fucking wagon?
How big is this fucking wagon? Is it a TARDIS? I went to the wardrobe closet to pick out a dress for this evening occasion because you can just take like 50 dresses around with you, an entire wardrobe. I'll bet it's a walk-in wardrobe. I'll bet you anything it's a walk-in wardrobe. To pick out a dress for this evening's occasion. After some rummaging, I picked a low V-cut white dress with lace that held the V together. Gold embroidered Triforce symbols lined the bottom of the
Then
dress.
how did you not know they were real?
Yeah, you'd think that that wouldn't be a motif if people didn't think it had something to it. Also, isn't the Triforce the symbol of the royal family? And never mind.
I don't know because again I don't play Legend of Zelda. Also, you know this fic is entertaining when I take my kneaded eraser and I make a rose out of it.
I want to see that. Take a picture.
Okay, I'll do that later.
I love roses. You know I love roses. And the sleeve started from mid-arm. Wait, the sleeve started from mid-arm.
So from your elbow.
So the sleeves didn't start at the shoulder, as most sleeves do. They started from the mid-arm
From your elbow.
and ran all the way down my arm to my wrist. Next, I picked a gold choker with the Triforce symbol for around my neck, which, again, is kind of problematic. Like, really very problematic, actually. And a gold Triforce ring for my finger.
I don't think someone understands the usage of the Triforce in the games. Because you don't see it anywhere else, with the exception of Ganon's hand, Zelda's hand, and Link's hand.
And sometimes some of the clothes that Zelda wears. Maybe a banner or two or a tapestry or something, but you don't really see that, or at least I didn't really see that, as a recurring motif in fashion in Hyrule. Maybe I overlooked it, but
You know what this story has me wanting to do? Just abandon it and go look up that one where Link was a girl and she was dating like an alternate universe of Ganon, because that was actually a good story. Because they had like an alternate history where in that world Ganon wasn't the main bad guy, and then the actual Ganon that female Link fought from her history, was actually like trying to interfere in that alternate history. It was actually a pretty good story. It's currently unfinished, but it still is a much better story than this.
I could really go for one where Ganon and Link nail each other. That would be more interesting than this. Never mind. Anyway.
I can give you a link to that, but there is it's female Link and there is rape in that story.
I don't remember where we were.
I don't either, because we were having a much more interesting conversation.
I remember now. I was actually reading. I remember where I was.
Okay, so guys, we're gonna have a giant jump cut. I'm taking something out that we talked very seriously about, but that will be another video.
Yes, it was very interesting though. So please do check it out. It's not strictly a part of the reading, but
I guess I'll label it a vlog or something. I don't know.
I still think you should do like guiding. Bad fanfiction guiding.
Caleb's channel of stuff guiding. So anyway, let's continue.
All right. And the gold Triforce ring for my finger. Then I had to do my hair. I braided my hair into a halo braid and ran a beautiful silver lace through
Isn't
it.
it called a crown braid?
I've never heard of it referred to as a halo braid. I've heard of it referred to as a crown braid, and it really is best if you have someone else doing it for you because it is
Yeah.
really very hard to do on
I
your
mean,
own.
you could. I
Speaking from experience,
mean, I mean, you could do it as two braids, but if you're trying to do it as one braid, yeah, you kind of probably want somebody to help you with that.
but if you're going to do it for like to stay, you really have to have it's really so much better to have someone else's perspective, someone else's hands,
Mm.
because you want to braid it in so that it doesn't fall out. So you have to sort of braid it into the hair under it. And anyway, it's yeah, I tried it several times and it was just way more time consuming than it was worth. I would do it maybe if I was going to like a Renaissance festival or something, but definitely not just to put my hair up. I'm just going to put it up in a bun if I'm going to put it up. But anyway, after that, 6 hours later, I went to the full-length mirror,
That you
which
have
you
in your wagon.
have in your wagon, to look at myself. As I looked myself over, I felt a tremendous sense of attraction come over me. I honked my boobs and smushed them on the full-length mirror. Then I went to my gigantic waterbed, also in my wagon. Sorry.
It was already wet. That's why it was a waterbed.
As I looked myself over, a knock came at the door.
Come. Oh, this is that kind of story. Okay.
Give it a moment. Give it a moment.
I yelled, appearing in the doorway as the man I had set my eyes on. What?
Oh, was the man.
Oh. His eyes grew big as he looked me over, on my waterbed.
Also, who opened the door? Because
I
this is,
guess he did, though I didn't realize wagons had doors.
yeah, this can be, I
I
mean,
mean, is it like a gypsy wagon?
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, it would have to be something like that to even accommodate half of the things that she alleges it has in it.
I mean, I guess you could have like some sort of weird cot thing that folds up during the day to the side of the wagon, but whatever.
I mean, the Varda style wagons are actually very livable and very, very comfortable, although I don't think Jenna really has a concept of what is actually contained in wagons like those and how they're laid out, but whatever, you know.
Uh, oh, okay. I was like, where was I for a minute? His eyes grew big as he looked me over. You look beautiful tonight, Link said as he took my hand and kissed it. Then he led me out the door. There were two horses in front saddle for riding.
Wouldn't you have your own horses with your wagon?
I think Link brought horses.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, wouldn't she have her own horses that she's familiar with, that she would be more comfortable riding?
Eh. One was rust-colored mare with a white mane and tail, with a black muscle.
Edward! The wrong mane and the wrong muscle. It must be Edward.
The other one was my brown mare's.
Oh, well,
Your
that's
brown
nice. It
mare's.
makes.
You're gonna ride two horses to Kokiri
Yeah, I
village.
think she said one of.
Yes, but she's
Yeah,
using the plural mares.
well, just one of them.
Was one of my brown mares with a black wrong mane and tail. The one he had gotten was the one with the white star on her forehead.
Also, don't use the word gotten or get or got or. I mean, there are
Or how
always.
Caleb speaks all the time.
No, no, no. I mean, it's like if you're writing a story, you can use. I mean, you can use it as part of a conversational, thing. But if you're narrating, there are so many more illustrative, descriptive ways to say he got something. You can say, I mean, you can say it conversationally because people do say, I got this, or he had gotten this, or whatever. But there's so many better ways of saying it. It's just like saying he said. Well, how did he say it? You could say so many different ways. I don't know. I'm just saying, this is just my opinion, but I just think there are so many better ways to say something than it was gotten. He got it. She got it. She gets it, you know?
The one whom I named Star Dancer. I don't know why we need to know this, but okay. He led me to my mare and helped me onto the saddle because I've never ridden a horse before, despite having two of them to, carry my wagon.
No, he helped her into the saddle, so maybe he was
Oh,
going to ride her
into.
around like maybe he was going to ride her around like pigs.
Then he mounted the other horse. Oh my.
Oh, Link, that's too soon. That's too soon.
Bestiality. Looking back at me, his eyes seemed to glow in the moonlight. It's already nighttime? Why wouldn't you be traveling in the afternoon? Anyway, follow me, I will lead the way. Then he booted the horse in the legs.
Why would he do that?
I don't think that's a good idea, Link. And took off at a slow gallop. I
Uh,
shouldn't it be a slow
Technical.
walk?
Yeah, just a point of detail here. If a horse is galloping, a horse is out of control. The fastest a horse should ever go is a canter. If a horse is galloping, the horse is out of control, and it is not easy to get them back under control. So galloping is actually not a good thing when you're riding a horse.
I then followed. We rode to the south side of Hyrule Field and came upon a long dark tunnel. This way, Link cried. Through here, because she's not following you. You're like really far ahead of her. I watched as Link disappeared into the tunnel. Then I followed. At the other end, we crossed a bridge and then into what seemed to be a village.
Why are they going here? Why aren't they having the spring night thing in Hyrule?
I don't know. Link invited her to go to Kokiri Village, so that's
Why
where they're
would they
going.
even go there? They're not supposed to go there.
I guess Link still lives there.
Oh, okay.
Don't question the logic of this story. We'll
Okay.
be here all day. We've
Uh,
already spent way too much time, and look at how much progress we've made.
Little people wearing green clothes that look like kids. Wait, the clothes look like kids? Started to surround us. The clothes started to surround when we stopped. This is the Kokiri village, the place where I was raised, Link said as he dismounted. After I dismounted one of the wait, what?
You are doing inappropriate things with kids.
After I dismounted one of the kid-like Kokiri took our horses to attend to them. That is a case where you really need a comma. As I walked around the village, the childlike people began watching me. They all
Are
seemed
not
very
Muskins, guys.
seriously. They should be wondering who you are and why the
Why did
hell you're
Link
in their
tell
village.
you who they are? How do you not know who they are?
Also, why are you even there? You're not supposed to be there. Uh, um. Anyway, they all seemed very curious to who I was. As I looked around at them, I noticed that they had something floating around them. As I took a closer look, I noticed that they looked like fairies from the fairy tales told
Also,
us.
wouldn't Link have Navi?
One imagines.
So she should already be familiar with this, but whatever.
From the fairy tales told to us in our village as kids. Were these really fairies from the stories I heard as a child? How the hell would he know? How should he know what stories you heard as a child? You've known him for like an afternoon. He
Wait,
doesn't
I
know
think
about the
she's
stories.
saying that, isn't she?
Yeah, she's saying that. Oh wait, no, she thought to herself. Okay. See, she has quotes around it, but you don't
Yeah.
actually have to put quotes around something if a person is thinking it, as long
Or
as you
or
make.
at least single quotes. That's usually how thoughts are depicted, if not italicized.
I thought to myself. Just then one of the Kokiri, a young girl, approached me.
How do you know they're Kokiri? Link didn't tell you and you didn't ask.
Well, he said this is the Kokiri village, so maybe that could be inferred at least.
But they look like kids, so how would you know they're Kokiri? You just said they were strange little people.
Well,
Whatever,
maybe she was assuming from the this is the Kokiri village. Maybe she was just. I guess
I
we can just
shouldn't
handle.
think. I just should go with it. I know.
My name is Saria. What's yours? The young girl asked. My name is Jenna. It's a pleasure to meet you, I replied. Are you the one that came with my friend Link for our spring night festival?
How did you not see?
Saria's eyes seemed to glow at that moment.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry I asked the question. Please don't kill me with your laser eyes.
Yes, he invited me, I said as a smile crossed the Kokiri girl's face.
I could tell.
Oh,
I could.
God.
I'm sorry. I could tell that she knew I had my eyes set on Link, though she remained silent about it. I don't know why she'd say anything about it, but okay.
And also, how would you, like, aren't you being a bit presumptuous?
Hmm.
Maybe you were like thinking that she was going to say something and thought that she was going to, comment on you having a thing for Link, but in reality she was like, man, Link is gayer than a 2 rupee coin. She didn't say anything.
There were Maliko Kiri as well. I would assume so.
Yes.
Uh, huh. One in particular was one named Mido. One in particular was one. All one! Anyway. He was the leader of the Kokiri and a dear friend of Saria and Link. He had a sense of humor, but he yet remained stern and headstrong, for he was their leader, which you already stated, and was responsible for their lives.
How did you know all of this? How are you inferring all of this?
I guess Link's telling her as the day progresses. Or magic. I blame magic. It was time for the feast. Saria gestured for me to join them. Why wouldn't Link be doing this? He's the one who invited you.
Also, why aren't there anyone else there? Why isn't there anyone else there from Hyrule? If this is supposed to be the spring night celebration and it's supposed to be like Christmas Eve and all these Hyrule people know about it, then why aren't they there? You would think that someone like Princess Zelda would at least make an appearance.
Maybe each city or village has their own get together, and since Link grew up there, he goes there and invited his soon to be girlfriend to come with him.
Yeah, okay.
Is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very Japanese sort of, go home for Matsuri sort of
Oh.
sort of attitude. Yeah, I can get in that.
It was time for the feast. Saria just wait gestured for me to join them at the feast table. She led me to the seat next to Link, which I don't know why Link isn't doing this, considering he invited you. As I sat down next to him, he smiled and winked at me. Did she plan this? I asked myself, and then smiled. Why
She
would
planned
she do
what?
that?
Yeah.
I mean, you came with him, so why wouldn't you sit with him?
Yeah, and how could she possibly plan if that's what she's asking about? How could she possibly plan the seating arrangements when obviously she didn't know who was coming with him or if anybody was coming with him. In fact, he didn't know anybody was coming with him until earlier in the afternoon.
And then smiled. After a moment, I looked over all of the food. There was a great abundance of food to eat. Yes, but what kind of food? Okay, now we're describing it instead of. You didn't need that extra sentence there anyway. There was cooked pork in a rich chestnut cream sauce. Okay. Beef stew, cooked turkey, all different kinds of cheeses, breads, and butter, cooked vegetables, and even many different kinds of fruit.
I this this doesn't seem like it's very well set in Hyrule, I have to say.
You mean the village?
I mean the food.
Yeah.
I mean the food just doesn't seem very Hyrule.
Fantasy based?
I mean, it has no quality that makes it anywhere near anything in Hyrule. I mean, surely they can have some of these things, but it seems dubious that the elf-like, fairy-like Kokiri would eat half of these things, and if they did, they would probably be kind of adjusted to the things that they could get in their world, because Hyrule has a lot of different things than, our world. But, whatever, it's a dream, so.
Yeah, well, I was also going to say, I mean, really, I don't think the game went into too much detail about food. I mean, I know you can get milk and I think uh, like regain health and stuff from milk, but was there anything else?
There are a lot of different names for similar animals and certain nuts and things like that. So would have been nice if that sort of attention had been given to the food, but whatever.
My mouth began to water as I combed over the food. You combed it. Hmm. After I served myself, I began to eat. As I was eating, I could not help but notice that Link was watching me out of the corner of his eye. Because you were stuffing yourself like a pig. And using your hands instead of silverware. But whatever.
Then the party got really awkward and they brought out the sacrifice and wanted me to kill it.
It was screaming and everything, and apparently it was like some Gerudo chick. I don't know who
Blood
she was,
sprayed
but whatever.
everywhere, and it was all a blur, and when I woke up, everybody was dead, so it was another one of those dreams. I was naked, and then suddenly I was in school, and oh, I hate those dreams. The
Yeah,
naked in
they can
school
get a little
dreams.
messy and yeah, but you know, it happens.
I could, I could feel his stare.
Wow, we have perfect timing thus far.
Though it was pleasant. Then our eyes met, and a smile crossed his face. As I stared into his eyes, they seemed to glow under the light of the moon.
He was actually the god we were worshipping with the blood sacrifice. Too bad it went poorly.
He even looked more handsome in the moonlight, and I told myself that I would be crazy to pass up a man like this. What do you mean, pass up? It's not like he's given you any indication that he's really interested in you. He's just been making eyes at you, and that may be your imagination. Seriously, what is wrong with this person? It's like, yeah, this is my man now. I've known him for all of an afternoon. I ate with him, and we've said like 30, maybe 30 words between us. Now she's already planned out their life together and their children. After everyone finished eating, all the Kokiri got up and started to dance.
Because we didn't make interesting conversation while we were eating. We just sat there and stuffed ourselves.
Sat there in an eerie sort of awkward silence. Then they got up and danced, also wordlessly. This didn't strike me as disturbing in any way, but we danced and drank long into the night. Oh, for once you conjugate the verb properly. And to show my appreciation, I even did a
Wait,
solo dance.
wait. I think you skipped a line, or I didn't hear it.
Oh, yeah, I did. I'm so sorry. Some of the Kokiri even played instruments. As the music drifted in the air, Link took my hand in his. Would you care to dance? I looked at him and smiled. Yes, I'd love to. He led me to where everyone else was, and we started to dance. So they went somewhere else? Because all it says was they got up and started to dance. So I'm presuming that they're just surrounded the table dancing. So, we danced and drank long into the night, which, as said before, was finally a proper conjugation of the verb. And to show my appreciation, I even did a solo dance. It was difficult to tuck coins, but they somehow managed. Rupees were slightly more difficult. Then after I did my dance, I went to sit down and rest. I was tired. Link came and sat down beside me.
Because we're
You,
not going to describe any of this scene other than just telling you what happened.
you look real tired. Are you ready to retire? Link said as he put his hand on my shoulder. I nodded yes, and he gave me a watch and sent me to Birmingham. Sorry, I don't know. um, I nodded yes and tried to get up and walk, but I was so tired and had too much to drink that I stumbled. Then
When
I
did the
vomited everywhere. No,
Kokiri
we're not going to go there.
drink?
What?
When did the Kokiri drink liquor?
I guess since now. Maybe she just drank a lot of milk and was really full and just couldn't walk very well.
It was that pleasant kind of full where you just like had a great, which would be nice, you have a pleasant buzz from good company, good food, and a good time. And then you're just kind of like, I think maybe I should stay here for the night because I am really tired now because I've been so
Oh.
happy today.
Oh, I feel better. I'll change my mind completely on this story if she lets out a huge belt. Um, Catching me in his arms, Link led me back to where I was. Wait, what? Link led me back to where I was sitting. I think it would be wise if you stay here tonight. I have plenty of room, and I can escort you back to the castle in the morning. Link
She
looked at
wasn't
me.
in the castle, she was in her wagon.
Link looked at me with a worried look. Come on. And I decided to stay. And that is how we spent every night together, even up to the night when I finally shared his bed. They
Uh,
spent every night together, eating and drinking and dancing, and then she stumbled and he offered for her to stay there the night.
I guess
Like,
so.
where did this end? Where does this start and how did they spend
When they
together?
finally had sex.
Like, I understand she was writing it about her dreams and everything. That's great and all, but the author's note was so obnoxious,
Uh-huh.
and the story doesn't really make any sense, and it's not really written well enough to be engaging, and all of the errors she makes are really annoying, like putting every sentence in its own quotes,
Yeah.
making it really difficult to know who is saying what, when, and all these vague phrases like clothes that look like little kids. I don't know. I really find this a terrible story. I feel kind of bad.
Yeah, I'm just after I got done being mad at the authors now, I'm just more like, it's more like we're concentrating on each other and just making like better conversation
Yeah.
than reading the story, and I'm just kind of like, I don't really care. There's nothing interesting going on. It's just
Yeah.
you saying stuff happened, and like the whole feast thing, and then that led. I'm like, you could have, important character stuff, like show them bonding with each other over a course of, the dinner, and
Yeah,
then
I
they
mean,
like they dance together, and talk about the different dances, and then it says she danced by herself, and so talk about that, and then talk about her actually staying the night there in the village, and you
yeah, I
know
mean, it would be very interesting if there were any sort of spark between them, but there isn't. They
no,
barely know each other. They barely said a few sentences to each other. From what we are to assume from the narrative, they spent the entire feast in silence. So it's not like they've got a lot of chemistry. She's just coming off as extremely creepy because she has set her sights on this guy. She has planned out her married life and having children with him, and she doesn't even know him and has never even asked him what his feelings are on the subject. So it makes her seem like a gigantic creep of an asshole, and there's nothing in the story to say that she isn't a giant creep of an asshole. She's just not trying. There's
no.
nothing compelling in this story. It's just a very creepy self-insertion that
Mhm.
doesn't work because it's very lazy. And there are parts of it that you could tell she tried in, but it would have been more appreciated if she had tried where it actually matters, like developing some things, that actually have something to do with the way the story is going, instead of just tossing in things that are really pretty much irrelevant, that don't actually have any material influence on how the story turns out or what any of the character interactions are. But yes, this was terrible. This was really just,
And the sad thing is, we're not barely into the story.
I know.
We could have been so far had it not been for that terrible author's note. I can't
Yeah,
believe that author's note was 4 pages.
I know.
And now while I have you here, I'm going to select all. I'm going to copy everything, and I'm going to actually open my Word thing and find out how many pages this entire story is. And it is so long that the thing is having trouble catching up. Like
I
I'm
think
waiting on it to change from page 1 of 1 to whatever.
maybe it's like God of Vampires, and
Oh
like
my god, and it's still going. 94 pages of 94, and it's still going. Oh my god.